Spidel, and I was born in Belgium, and I came to Canada as a war bride in 1946. I was 20 in December, and I was married in March. We came on the Aquitania with Dutch war brides and English war brides, and we all got off in Halifax, and the Red Cross was waiting, and they would take us to our train and made us board and left us there. And then we drove right through Canada to Winnipeg, and we thought we'd never get there. The country was so big.
My name is Renate Schieler. I came from Germany in Bavaria in 1951. I was 5 years old. My father had relatives in Barrhead, and so that's why we had to go there, because in those days, immigrants needed to be sponsored by a family so that the Canadian government would know that we would be looked after. There were no social services that I'm aware of back then.
I came in 2008, and I was 67 at the time, and I came to visit. But then it changed to something else. Claude asked me to marry him, and okay, I said, okay, if you look after me, I will. So I went back to South Africa and came back, and we got married. You see, what made it good for me, my children, was happy for me. There were times when I used to miss them a lot, but then because we could connect all the time, telephonically or Skyping, you know, it made it better again.
I'm Iris Simpson from Wolverhampton, England, and I came as a war bride, June the 29th, 1946. I suppose at that time it was more of an excitement, but as we gradually got into things, it was very different. Yeah, everything was so different. It's a different culture. We weren't too greatly thought of, the war brides, when we first came out, so people didn't take to us very well. I don't know why. You know, I guess the women hated us, I think, because we took the best of the best from them. I did learn if I was going to make it in this country, I would have to forget all about being English and become a Canadian. I watched and learned and listened. And a lot of the war brides, they came over and said, well, we don't do it this way, we don't do it that way. And I think that was one mistake, and I wasn't going to do that.
Well, to me it was a case of leaving a family in South Africa. It's a big change. My wife and I had different ways of looking at it. She was the one that was more still missing home and all that, like everybody else. But I looked at it, see it through a different window. I had the children that could be educated. And well, this country has its security. Forget about the present times now, but at that time, now I looked at it as an opportunity for the families.
My name is Maureen Wilkinson. I came from Winchester in 1968. For the first 10 years, I had agoraphobia, so I couldn't go out. I couldn't even answer the phone, open the door.
Did you pine for England the whole time?
Always. I've never settled.
Even
No. But, you know, I'm quite happy I make the most of it. Because you don't fit in. Because it's so different in England, because when you come to a small town and there's just maybe what you call a farmer's store and a post office and a drugstore and a grocery store, that's all there is. And there was no paved roads, it was all mud. And I used to say to my husband, can I, of course I still called it the pram, can I push the pram out? Because it was thick mud and I thought I'd get stuck. And it was just so different from getting on the bus, going to town, going to the pictures, just living it up, enjoying yourself. I felt as if I'd betrayed my country when I did it. I felt a complete liar, actually, and I still do, because it wasn't my choice. I mean, maybe some people from Syria think, well, it's not their choice, they were forced out by circumstances. And so for me, it'd be the same thing.
Oh, it's very bad. The first year I came and I was wearing silk stockings and I was standing on Portage and Main. That's the coldest corner in the world. And it cut into, the stockings cut into my legs and I had all little scratches when I got home. Well, the change of life. You know, it was so different. It takes you a while to get adjusted to the different things. I miss my family because I was shy, so I didn't make friends. I had my husband's family, but sometimes they would be critical, but they were nice. I had to learn things, different things. Once I had my first child, 2 years later, then I was happy. I had somebody there. Because my husband was working all day and I had someone to look after. And after that, I never thought of going back.
They were very proud Canadians, very proud Canadians. In their heart of hearts, they knew that they contributed to the economy of the area where they lived. They contributed to Canada. Never ever talked about going back after when they decided not to. I think they were quite happy to be here. Did they have those feelings? I'm sure they did. They just didn't really speak about that. They didn't speak much about their experience in the war, and all that tells me is that it was probably quite painful. Well, I only heard Maureen's story, and it certainly differs from that because I was a child. This whole thing was an adventure. It was fun. It certainly wasn't always easy. You know, as an immigrant child, particularly a little German girl, there was a certain amount of animosity toward German immigrants, and that's understandable. Dare I say this, I was quite often called a dirty little DP, and I didn't know what that meant. I was just a child. I had no idea what that meant until I got a little older, and then I realized, oh, okay, it's just a displaced person, but I never felt displaced. Among my friends, certainly not, because when we moved to Edmonton, an area that was populated mostly by immigrants from all over, not just German, although the area we lived in was, I would say, predominantly German. There were people from Britain, lots of Italian people, and some of my best friends were from Britain. Now, if you think about not that many years earlier, in the war years, everybody lost stuff, they lost people, it was hard on them, and yet as children we never knew any of that. We were just really good friends. I don't know how their parents really, you know, they were always nice to me, but it's hard to say. But they all came to Canada for the same reason that we came. It was a land of opportunity. So maybe they left some of those animosities behind, I don't know. My dad, and I said he had relatives here, but all of my mom's family is there, and wonderful people. I've met them all and had a chance to be with them and so on. The bottom line is no, I don't. Going there, would it? No, I don't want to be there. There are too many people. You look at the open space we have here, and whenever you go to Europe or any of the more developed countries where so many people live, you think, oh my gosh, like let me out of here. It's fun for a while, but this is my home.
Okay, we'll get to that story. we came in, it was still snow on the ground. And another guy said, geez, nice day today. I said, what? Are you crazy? I said, look, snow on the ground. He said, it's only 10 degrees. I can say now that my thermostat has changed. I understand him now. It's a company you're going to choose that makes you. If they're going to have bad friends, they're going to be bad people, which is really the case among our younger generation today. They face with so many challenges. And if you get into the wrong one, they're stuck with. Then they're pretty well in the cracks. So for my children growing up, the do's and don'ts as teenagers growing up. And so I'm very satisfied I made that big move to bring them here.
Things were different then. Your married life was different. Women weren't in charge like they seem to be these days. That could make you laugh, but I feel that's the way it is. I mean, you had your meal on the table by 5 o'clock or else. When your husband came in. And I know that children used to, when I was young, look out the window and say, quick, Dad's coming. And Dad would have to, and Mum would have to have the meal on the table. It was an entirely different life. And so your husband was head of the family. And so what he said went. So if your husband was coming here, you came here. If you weren't going back, you weren't going back.
There was times I got a little bit homesick. I'd look at myself in the mirror and say, what in the name of heck have you done? Why are you here? But I think it's a love story with Canadians and British or Belgium or whatever. And there's a bond there,
We've been to so many places already, and I'm always fascinated by then it's gray, then it's red, and then it's beautiful green. So I simply love this country just because of the beauty of it all.